Happy Friday morning, everybody. Welcome into Morning JOX here on your Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. Conrad Van Order and Damian Mitchell here with you as we get you set for the official start of Rivalry Week, which a lot of that action is going to get started today in just a few hours. And of course, tomorrow, the main entree as we all await the Iron Bowl, which as it currently stands, we are 36 hours and 29 minutes away from. Almost exactly. So you don't have that much longer. One more sleep, as a lot of people like to refer to it, but it'll be here before we know it, Damien. So I hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving yesterday. I know I did. Got to spend a lot of time with family, which very grateful for. Damien, hopefully you were able to do the same yesterday.
Absolutely, man. It was a great time. And the best thing about it is because Maplesville is still playing football right now. We had a Thanksgiving pep rally last night as they're getting ready for the semifinal matchup tonight against Leroy down in Maplesville. So it was good just seeing everybody, seeing family, old friends, alumni abroad. Man, we had a great time. But we know what we're here for. We know what we're here for. And I noticed that you're gonna have a jersey change in a few hours. Is that correct?
Yes, I am, but there's nothing against me wearing it this morning.
Yeah.
So.
You gotta stick with the routine. How are you feeling as we get closer to kickoff about this Iron Bowl, my brother?
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to seeing how it all plays out tomorrow. I think it'll be a great game, and the atmosphere around it will obviously be exceptional as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think the next 2 days of college football overall will be a lot of fun. And personally, and I know some people may say this is dumb for me to ask for because it could have potentially affect the team of the jersey that I'm wearing, but I do hope that this weekend is kind of like some of the weekends we got earlier in the season where it was just, I mean, it felt like for the first, 5 or 6 weeks of the season, right? Something big was happening every weekend. There was some crazy upset or some sort of an all-time classic game type situation. And I hope we get a little bit of that over the next 2 days. I think there's going to be some surprises and maybe just a little bit more chaos to come before we get to the playoff and the conference championship games. So, but we'll see. But again, it will be a very exciting next couple of days here around the college football world. This is also Final Score Friday. If you have missed it, this is one of the last ones we'll be able to do this season, which it's okay. We'll be back next season. But if you're not familiar with it, if you're just now joining us today, you can text in on the courtesy GMC text line 205-834-9450 and tell us what your score prediction is for the Iron Bowl and what other games you're interested in. Maybe you have a score prediction for the Egg Bowl coming up a little bit later today or later this morning. Maybe you have a score prediction for I don't know, Charlotte and Tulane. Maybe you're really locked into that one and what John Summerall is going to be doing later this weekend. But whatever it is, you can send in your final score predictions to us, and we love to read those and share those throughout the show. So that would be greatly appreciated. I'm sure a lot of you have your Iron Bowl scores ready to go. But we did have a great day of football yesterday, and we'll get to that here in just a moment. But did want to start off with a little Iron Bowl because if you missed it, we did get the injury reports for the game tomorrow. Those came out on the first one on Wednesday night, and then we got another one last night to kind of keep you up to date on what's going on. And the good news is if you're an Auburn fan, you don't really have to worry about the injury report because it's not really going to have an impact on you in the sense that anybody that's not available is you already knew they weren't going to be available, right? It's guys that have been out for a significant amount of time. The one exception with that, of course, is Sylvester Smith, the safety, who he will miss the first half of the Iron Bowl because of a targeting call that went against him in the Mercer game. So he'll be out for the first half, but that's not injury related. That's just the result of him being ejected last week in the Mercer game. But for Alabama, certainly few more things to make note of. So first off, 3 players listed as probable. So the good thing is that they are listed as probable. And 2 of those are big ones, Jeremy Bernard and Parker Brailsford. They both were out against Eastern Illinois. Jeremy, I guess you would say is maybe more of a sure thing than Parker, but I still again, from what I understand. I would be shocked if neither of those guys gives it a go tomorrow. Now, if they're 100%, maybe not, but most guys are not 100% at this point in the season, anyways. And then you also have QB Reese, the linebacker there, listed as probable. So the good news is those guys are listed as probable. You probably are expecting to have them, at least in some capacity, tomorrow against Auburn. The bad news, though, for Alabama is you had two players here that were factors for you, contributors on offense, and one of them, a big one, who will not be available for you in the Iron Bowl. So first off, Kevin Riley, who's kind of been, I guess, essentially the third string running back now. He is not going to be available. So maybe that's not, you say, that's not the worst thing in the world. But again, it's depth at a position that Alabama has struggled at, and it's worth noting. But the big one, of course, is going to be Josh Cuevas, the tight end, who has really been, again, I think he's kind of been the unsung hero of this offense this year, where he's not going to get a lot of the credit. He's not going to get, he's not going to draw headlines the same way a Ryan Williams is. He doesn't have the production of a Jeremy Bernard. He's not the quarterback like Ty Simpson. He's not Caden Proctor out here running these, fun little trick plays and getting painting by Daniel Moore. But what he is he is the guy that comes through when you need him, a lot of times on third down, right? And we've seen him be a factor in some of these trick plays and things that Alabama's used to convert, on fourth down situations or late in games when they just need to ice the clock. So he's a big factor. And you go back to that Oklahoma game, and he really was kind of the guy that was able to take advantage of that Oklahoma defense and really do some nice things for Alabama in that game. So that's a big loss. And the reality is, those are some shoes that maybe no one else on that team can step up and fill, just in terms of everything that he brings to that offense. But, this is the time for the Caleb Edwards of the world, might have to grow up a little bit here and rise to the occasion. So certainly something to keep an eye on there for the tight end spot. But I guess, again, you go back. I know it was Eastern Illinois, but you go back and there were a few tight ends that were getting some touches in that game. So you kind of wonder if they were, hey, we might have a situation against Auburn. We need to really see which one of these guys we can get some burn out of in the Iron Bowl. So that's really the big injury news there. Parker Brailsford, Jeremy Bernard probable for Alabama. Josh Cuevas going to be out there at tight end. And then if you're Auburn, you're looking real good right now. Got to feel good going into Saturday.
Yeah, for the most part, everybody that, like you said, everybody that was either, out, they're continuing to be out. I think the Sylvester Smith targeting, I mean, no matter how you slice it up, it's an unfortunate situation.
Yeah.
But for somebody that's played a lot of football back there in the secondary, at least in the first half, you're going to miss him. Second half, of course, he's going to go out there and turn up. But I think overall, especially for Alabama, Josh Cuevas not being available is going to be big because, like you said, to this point, a lot of other tight ends haven't necessarily gotten as much burn as he has. Not as much experience, but the reps that you got against Eastern Illinois, at least you know that, hey, like you said, when their number is called, they got to go out there and perform. Like when you were in this package, it's next man up mentality. You got to go out there and be effective. So, yeah, it's going to be big, but I don't necessarily think it's going to be like a deciding factor as far as what the offensive production is going to look like for Alabama.
Yeah, so we will see how Alabama's able to counteract that, but certainly not the best injury news there if you are a fan of the Crimson Tide. But we'll get back to the Iron Bowl a little bit later in the program, give you some of our final thoughts on that matchup, of course, as we have to give you our picks for the biggest game of Rivalry Week and all of that coming up for you here in just a matter of moments. But we do want to take a second to look back on yesterday as well, because you did have – that's one of the great things about Thanksgiving, right, is you get to enjoy, time with your friends, time with your family, great food. And then at some point, you're probably going to take a nap and wake up in the third quarter of an NFL game. And that's what the holidays are all about, right? So we had 3 NFL games yesterday. You did have one college game going on as Navy took down Memphis 28-17. So Navy, they're now 9-2 on the season. Of course, the Army-Navy game still to come. And Memphis, they fall to 8-4 on the season. And you go back and you look at this Memphis team, right, after they beat Arkansas early in the season, and it looked like it was going to be full steam ahead, and they were going to have a really, really good shot at making the postseason as the Group of 5 representative, and that's not going to be happening now. You lost to UAB. Obviously, we remember that shocking upset there as Alec Mortensen led them, the Blazers, to victory in his first game there as the interim head coach, but I mean, it's just been a disaster for Memphis. They've lost their last 3 games now. You've lost to Tulane, East Carolina, and Navy, and you find yourself at 8-4. And this was a team with a head coach that was, you know, as hot as you could be about a month ago, and it just all, the wheels kind of fell off at an inopportune time for Memphis. So they start the season 6-0, and then they go 2-4 in their last 6 games to end up where they are now. So a tough one there for Memphis yesterday, as their season has certainly not gone the way that a lot of people thought it was going to early on in the season. But for your NFL slate, you had 3. Well, you had 2 really entertaining games, and then one that got kind of sideways, but not in the manner that I think many of us thought it would get sideways. So maybe that was entertaining for you there as well. But early on, you had the Packers and the Lions. Packers win that one 31-24, so they now move to 8-3-1 on the season. The Lions fall to 7-5. Jordan Love has 4 touchdowns, tying a career high there. One of them very controversial. I guess I'm kind of I would lean on the side of it not being a touchdown, but I get it if you want to count the first foot being down when he had his hands on the ball, but he didn't totally have possession. But the way they I'll just put it like this. I'm glad I'm not a Packers or a Lions fan, and I don't have to have a stronger opinion on this. But I know a lot of people were upset about that yesterday. But the Packers, they get a big win there over a division rival, 31-24. How about Jameson Williams? 7 catches, 144 yards, and a touchdown there for the Lions. He had a heck of a day after Amon-Ra St. Brown got hurt in the first quarter. He's on my fantasy team, so that was bad. But other than that, good win there for the Packers. Cowboys and Chiefs, this was a fantastic game. And a game that going in, you knew both teams kind of needed to win to keep their playoff hopes alive or lose and be in a not ideal situation. And the Cowboys, they get the win 31-28. Chiefs were able to make it close there at the end, but this was a game, particularly in the second half, that Cowboys just kind of kept finding a way to get ahead and stay in front and milk that clock down and get a big victory there. So Cowboys win 31-28. They are 6-5-1. They have that tie there with the Packers early in the year. The Chiefs now 6-6, and things are kind of desperation mode now. If you're Patrick Mahomes, you need to go out here and win the majority of your games the rest of the way if you want to find yourself back in the playoffs. It's just crazy to think that not only could you have a streak. I mean, they've been to the AFC title game like every year for the last 7 years, and it's crazy to think that you could go from that to not even making the playoffs potentially. So a rough season there for KC. And in the night game, the Bengals, they get a big win over the Ravens, 32-14, as Joe Burrow comes back. He throws for 260 and 2 touchdowns there. Good to see him back on the field for the Bengals. But the real story was the Cincinnati defense. They forced 5 turnovers, including 4 fumbles over the Ravens. And that's how you win by 3 scores in the NFL, is you force 5 turnovers against a team on the road. And, good for the Bengals there, as they are absolutely in desperation mode. They are going to have to win 6 in a row to even have a chance of the postseason. But good to see Joe Burrow back out there.
Yeah, and the crazy thing was, it wasn't like the Cincinnati Bengals were playing flawless offensively. They had multiple times in the red zone and only settled for field goals. Turned Lamar Jackson over at the 1-yard line and didn't even score. So for it to have looked the way that it did, they still found a way to win. That's all that really matters, especially in the NFL. It's a win by any means. It doesn't matter if it's, a 10-9 football game. You just got to go out there and get it done, because the margin for error, especially in the NFL, is so slim that, like you said, we're having a conversation now where the Kansas City Chiefs have gone to 7 straight AFC title games, and now they're on the brink of not even making the playoffs. So it's crazy, and it's what makes Thanksgiving football like that much more fun, because even the halftime shows were fun. We got a chance to see Eminem drop in during the Detroit Lions and Green Bay Packers game. Post Malone at halftime of Dallas was amazing. It's like, I came away thinking, like a Post Malone concert actually would be fun. It'd be definitely entertaining, and also you remember that he's got some bangers. Like he's.
Oh yeah, he loves Cowboys.
Yeah,
big Cowboys.
Because you went to Dallas for SEC Media Days last year, And I completely forgot that Post Malone was from Texas, and you're just sitting around like, oh my gosh, Post Malone is everywhere down here.
Yeah, they have I think it's like a Whataburger that's owned by Post Malone in Dallas, and it looks like the Dallas Cowboys star, and it's a what? Yeah, it's
That's
a whole thing.
wild.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. So, but yeah, no, it was a very entertaining day of football yesterday, along with the Thanksgiving holiday. And again, we hope everyone had a wonderful time yesterday, celebrating with their loved ones and getting ready to maybe yell at some of them as rivalry week is here. And we all know that just means a little bit more. But as good of a football day as yesterday was, I think today's going to be a little bit better. And the reason why is because it's college football. And we have some banger games coming up today, starting at 11 a.m. So we'll tell you what you have to look forward to today. What are the biggest games on the slate for your Friday? So maybe you can work your Black Friday shopping around Rivalry Week. We'll talk about the biggest games coming up today, as well as some more thoughts on the Iron Bowl. That's next here on JOX. Welcome back into Morning Jocks here on your Black Friday morning. Hope all of you are out and about shopping. Stay very safe and hope you find some wonderful deals. And of course, we appreciate you tuning in to us right here each and every morning on Jocks as we get you ready for what should be a very, very exciting rivalry week. That's always so hard to say. Rivalry week in college football. And that's really going to get started in about 4.5 hours, Damian, as we have maybe just from the, if I were to remove remove the Iron Bowl and then just the pure entertainment of everything going on around the game, I think maybe the most anticipated game of the entire weekend is at 11 a.m. this morning. And that, of course, if you don't know what I'm talking about, is the Egg Bowl. And there are just so many questions surrounding what happens in the 24 hours after the game actually ends. I'm very, very intrigued. I'll just leave it at that. But that game is at 11 a.m. So 4.5 hours from now, will we be watching Lane Kiffin's final game as the Ole Miss head coach? I don't know, but maybe we will. But they're going to be taking on Mississippi State today. Ole Miss, 7.5-point favorite in that one. Of course, we'll be giving you our picks for some of these games coming up here in just a little bit. But also at 11 today, you got Utah and Kansas in the Big 12. Over in Big 10 country, I know we'll be paying attention to this on three-man front. Iowa, Nebraska, a big one there for Miss Molly Robinson, and a big rivalry there in the Big 10. So those are three, great games at 11 a.m. today to get your day started. Then we move on to 2:30. You got Georgia, Georgia Tech. That's a pretty big one going on there on ABC. Georgia, about a 2-touchdown favorite as it stands right there in that matchup. Then at 6:30 tonight, you've got Indiana, Purdue. Not going to be super interesting. Indiana's probably going to win by 30 plus. But you do have one very interesting game at 6:30, and that, of course, is Texas A&M at Texas. Can Texas A&M really do this thing? Can they go 12-0 in the SEC? And then for Texas, you would need some chaos to happen around you, but quite a way to cap off what's been a disappointing season with a win over your rival who's undefeated. Not that you're going to ruin their chances of going to the playoff, but it'd still be a nice kind of feather in your cap to end the season. And again, maybe if things get really wicked this weekend, you find yourself at least in the conversation for a playoff spot.
Yeah, they're gonna need some. They're gonna need some major help. But I think for the start of rivalry weekend, I think that the most important game. But I do think besides the Iron Bowl, the games that is going to have the most eyes on it is going to be between Texas and Texas A&M, because I think a lot of people are going to hate watch this Texas A&M and Texas team because we're waiting on Texas A&M to explode. Like everybody's just waiting on pins and needles, but we have to kind of look at what we've been presented the entire season on Texas A&M. They're legit. They're good.
I was going to say, what if they don't implode?
Right.
Which they have not up to this
point.
Right.
So it's, man, if they're for real and they can get this monkey off their back and they beat Texas, they're going to the SEC championship for the first time since they've entered the conference. And they'll be waiting to see if they're going to be playing Alabama, Georgia. It's, to me, there's a situation right now. And, of course, everybody wants to discuss what Lane Kiffin is going to do after no matter how you slice it up, we're getting something after the Egg Bowl today and going into tomorrow as far as Lane Kiffin's future there in Oxford. But I think the Georgia Tech game has lost a little bit of steam because of Georgia Tech here as the last couple weeks of the season. But I think the two most important games besides the Iron Bowl are the Egg Bowl and the Lone Star Showdown. I think that's what it's called, between Texas A&M and Texas. But because of so much that is at stake for pretty much every team that's involved. And, no disrespect to Mississippi State. You can play spoiler, but I think for Ole Miss, it's locking up that college football playoff spot and also the future of Lane Kiffin and his time at Oxford. Is it coming to an end, or is he just playing the long game and saying, hey, I just wanted to entertain all this stuff, but I'm staying here in Oxford?
If Ole Miss, I'm not just putting this out there, according to ESPN and their playoff predictor, Ole Miss, if they lose this game today against Mississippi State, they have a 17% chance of making the playoffs.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. You got to get it done.
Win the game.
You have to get it done.
Win the game.
And we will.
and we will see if Lane Kiffin decides to stay after that or if he decides to leave. But if he decides to leave, I don't know who the next Ole Miss coach will be, but I do know somebody that it will not be.
Who's that, Conrad?
Eli Drinkwitz.
Hmm.
Because Eli Drinkwitz got himself a very, very happy Thanksgiving gift as he got a shiny new contract extension at Missouri. So Eli Drinkwitz has agreed to a new deal that gives him a salary bump. He will be now making a little more than $10.7 million per season. And in addition to that, extra money for, assistant coaches, roster things, all of those good things that come in as the bonuses now. But yeah, Eli Drinkwitz, almost an $11 million man there in Missouri. So they obviously are happy with the results of the last 3 seasons and didn't want to see him go anywhere. And so now just about everybody's backup plan is has a new deal. So that just one name off the board.
Yeah, and congratulations to Eli, man. For the past couple seasons and what he's been able to do at Missouri, they did something that Florida couldn't do. That's give their coach a little bit of time. Because the first time they won 10 games, you're thinking, okay, it caught lightning in a bottle. They ended up clicking, and it's, okay, maybe Missouri, congratulations. Now it's a recurring theme of, hey, if once it hits up there in Missouri, and he's been able to do it despite not having just elite support offensively. Now, you look like an absolute genius with Ahmad Hardy in the transfer portal.
Oh, yeah.
That stuck. And even with Cody Schrader being gone, you're still looked at as one of the top rushing teams in the nation for the past couple seasons of just being able to get it done. And even this past year, defensively, this is a brand new team. You didn't get a chance to knock off the Alabamas of the world or Texas A&Ms, but you can tell that what he's built up there is legit. And I think now you can look at Missouri as, okay, they're making the commitment financially, and it's also showing up on the football field. So I think that what he's been able to build at Missouri and locking him down for the next couple of years and treating him well, I think it's going to be amazing for what Eli Drinkwitz can build out there in Columbia.
So do you think he's a better coach than Dan Lanning?
No.
Kalen DeBoer?
No.
Brian Kelly?
Well, yeah.
Lane Kiffin?
No.
Is he a better coach than James Franklin?
I'm going to say no, but it's not by the widest of margins.
Well, he's making more money than all of them made this year. That's my point.
Yeah. But
that's just
2 of those coaches have been fired from their
correct. I personally, I would still say Brian Kelly is a better football coach than Eli Drinkwitz, even though he got fired.
Fair.
But yes, 2 of those guys did get fired. But again, it's just kind of
the money's different up there in Columbia, man.
I'm not saying, again, like some of those guys are probably going to get extensions or raises this year, and they'll make more. But just kind of going to show you, he would be the 6th highest paid coach in college football as it stands.
The money's good in Columbia, man. You've seen Ozark. They got money. They can get money all types of ways up there.
Yeah, he certainly did. So good for Eli Drinkwitz there. Good for Missouri. They seem to be happy with each other, and so we'll see if that can continue. Hopefully it does for Drink there at Missouri. But it's time now. We've got to get you our picks in for the big games coming up this weekend. Ohio State, Michigan, the Egg Bowl, Texas A&M, and of course the Iron Bowl, and many, many more. So let's get those going right here. That's next on Morning JOX. Our picks for Rivalry Week. Stay locked right here on JOX. Oh, yeah. You know what time it is when you hear that music. It is time for some picks here on the final week of the regular season of college football. You're listening to Morning Jocks, Conrad Van Order, Damian Mitchell. And if you're just now joining us for the first time, this is our Friday tradition in the college football season. We give you our final thoughts and our picks on the biggest games coming up this weekend, of which there are many this weekend in college football. And we will save, just to let you know, the Iron Bowl will be last. We save the best for last. So without further ado, let's get a little bit of this going here as we deliver our picks, just like we ask you to do on the Courtesy GMC text line, 205-834-9450. Let's start off with a guest pick here as Matt in Lincoln. He texted in. He says, Ole Miss wins a statement game today, 41-13. But then Lane goes to Florida. He says Georgia over Tech, 38-10.
Okay.
And he's got Alabama beating Auburn 31-28 in the Iron Bowl. So that's all you got to do. Just like Matt did it there in Lincoln, you send it in 205-834-9450. All right, let's start it off, Damon. And we will start off this morning at 11 a.m. with a team that you have come to know and love dearly over the last few months, and that would be your beloved Ole Miss Rebels. As they're going into enemy territory, Damian, they're going to Stark Vegas to take on Mississippi State. Ole Miss, 7.5-point favorite. Total sitting at 62.5 in this matchup. Ole Miss, you win, you're in. You lose, maybe you don't feel so good about your chances on Selection Sunday. So where are you going for this one, Damian? Ole Miss, a 7.5-point favorite. We'll let you have the floor for your sweet, sweet Rebels.
Listen, I know this is going to be a tough matchup, as most Egg Bowls are, but Ole Miss is the better football team. We appreciate everything that Mississippi State brings to the state of Mississippi, but they're going to be taking a L. They have had a pretty remarkable season, even though they may end up finishing under 500. But when you look at what Jeff Lebby is starting to build up there, they're going to have some shots. They're going to take some shots. But right now, Ole Miss, we're locked in. We're locked in. Whether Lane stays or leaves, it does not matter. We know how important this rivalry game is. We are the better team. Give me Ole Miss, and I think they handle Mississippi State. They're covering that 7.5. It does not matter. It does not matter. Lane, congratulations on your next gig. We appreciate your time in Oxford. Now, if you stay, we will continue this thing on rolling. But right now, our sole focus is on the Mississippi State Bulldogs. In a couple hours, when kickoff happens, you're going to see the separation of what a playoff team looks like and what a team in rebuilding mode is looking like in Mississippi State. Give me Ole Miss big.
Yeah, there's a part of me that wants to take Mississippi State to keep it within a touchdown because it's a rivalry game. They're at home. They got a chance to kind of ruin the season of, all of those things that kind of play into the Iron Bowl as well, could be brought up in this matchup. But Ole Miss is just the better team. And when you go and look at the best teams that Mississippi State's played this year, a la, when they went and played, when they had to play Georgia, when they had to play Texas A&M, they kind of got smacked around a little bit. I think Ole Miss is going to be in the same boat here. They had their close call against Florida already last week, so yeah. It doesn't mean that I think Lane very well may be gone tomorrow, but I think for at least today, a lot of Ole Miss fans are going to be happy and celebrating that win. So, yeah, I'll take Ole Miss. I'll call 2 touchdowns over Mississippi State.
Thank you.
At 2:30 today, so about 8 hours from now, Georgia and Georgia Tech. Remember, this one went to 7 overtimes last year?
It did.
If I remember correctly, it was 7. So, yeah, maybe the best game of the season last year, just in terms of pure entertainment value. Georgia and Georgia Tech in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Bulldogs, 13.5-point favorite. The total at 59.5. I'll be short and sweet on this one. I like Georgia Tech. I like Brent Key. I even like Haynes King now. I really like what that program has turned into, and they've had a really, really nice season. Unfortunately, they are one of those teams that they're a solid team, but when they go up against the tougher competition, we've kind of seen them falter at times. I think Georgia smokes them. I think they easily cover this one, and yeah, I don't think it's like last year at all.
Yeah, I think this will be an absolute physical ball game. But that bodes well for one Georgia Bulldogs. That's the kind of style fight they want. They welcome it. Georgia Tech will throw all the punches that they have, as you saw last year.
Yep.
They will throw every punch that they have. But Georgia, just a little too much. And you can, like you said, Georgia Tech they've played tough.
They have.
They have played hard. But usually when a team is even,
They're just not quite there yet.
even with them or just a notch above, you kind of see the separation. And I think Kirby Smart knows how big this game is and setting the tone of what could be a nice run, playoffs, whether they make it to the SEC championship or not.
Mm-hmm.
But they've been playing a great style of football the past couple of weeks. I don't see that thing roll. I don't see that thing stopping against this Georgia Tech front. I think Georgia handles their business in a physical matchup.
All right, 12 hours from now, Texas A&M and Texas doing battle there in Austin. Texas A&M, obviously, they're 11-0 undefeated. Texas 8-3 on the season. A&M getting 2.5 points on the road in this one. Total sitting at 53.5. I know a lot of people are riding with the Longhorns in this matchup. And look, I think if we saw, like in the South Carolina game, right, if something like that happens and Texas jumps out big early, I think they are good enough to hold on to that lead or, I don't know, score some points in the second half. That would have helped South Carolina a couple weeks ago. But I do think, again, at this point with A&M, it's like, all right, you've proven me wrong. You've shown me that you're not going to throw up on yourself, or at least you haven't up to this point. So I'm going to roll with the Aggies. I think they get it done. I think it's a one-score game. I think Texas plays them really, really tough, but I think the Aggies are just a better team, and they're trying to roll a lot of momentum into the postseason.
Yeah, I think Texas A&M gets the monkey off their back with this Texas team. I think Texas A&M has shown that they are one of the best teams in college football. They can win in a bevy of styles. If you want to make this a track meet, a la the game against Notre Dame, they can match up with it. Also, Arkansas, if they have to come back, they're good enough and talented enough at very, very key spots to say, hey, we ain't out of this thing just yet. Marcel Reed, as inconsistent as he can be, he can play at a high level. And right now, crazy enough, I believe in Marcel Reed more than I believe in Arch Manning. And I just don't think that Texas is ready for what Texas A&M is going to bring to them. Yeah, it's a rivalry game, but again, I think it's going to be a separation game for Texas A&M of, hey, this ain't for blanks and giggles. We here for business, and we're here for blood. I think Texas A&M, it may be a slow burn, but I think you will see by the fourth quarter that Texas A&M is the better football team, and they win.
All right, turning the page to tomorrow at 11 a.m., you've got another big one as the game's going on between Ohio State and Michigan. This one will be in Ann Arbor at Michigan. Ohio State getting 9.5 points on the road. The total at 43.5. I do think this is the year that Ohio State, granted, you could have, I think we all thought this last, like 3 of the last 4 years, right? But I do think this is the year. I think they were able to get it done. I think they get a victory in the rivalry. They go into the Big Ten championship game undefeated, and Michigan, their playoff hopes are gone. However, with that being said, 9.5 in this game based on what we've seen the last 4 years, and it's on the road at Michigan.
It's too much.
That feels like easy money, taking Michigan plus the 9.5. Who knows? Ohio State maybe finally they not only do they beat them, but they just destroy them and take out all that frustration from the last 4 years. But based on how this game's gone the last 5 years, I'm taking Michigan to cover. I do think Ohio State wins, though.
I'm with you. I think Ohio State wins. Michigan covers that 9.5. I think it's going to be a miserable game because Michigan is going to try to slow the ball down, slow the clock down, manage it. This may be a 17-13 type matchup because Ohio State's possessions are going to be limited. I do think defensively Michigan can cause some problems. They can be just as physical as Ohio State wants it to be, but I don't think they have enough offensive prowess or explosiveness to just go out there, have a quick play drive, and make Ohio State respond. I think it's going to be a slow burn, and Ohio State guts it out. It's not going to be pretty, but Ryan Day finally gets the last laugh and show that, hey, we are the number one team. We're the defending national champions, and this is a reason why. So I think they end any hopes of Michigan trying to backdoor their way into the college football playoff. Ohio State wins a close one.
So there you go. We both like the Buckeyes to win, but Michigan to cover. All right, this is a good place to pause for a minute because It's rivalry week, so we have even more games to get to, including the Iron Bowl. More of mine and Damien's picks. Let's look at just the SEC. Some of those rivalry games coming up tomorrow, including the Iron Bowl. That's next here on JOX. $6:48 here on your Friday morning. Hope all of you are out there enjoying some Black Friday deals, some shopping this morning. And if so, we appreciate you joining in on the fun here on Morning Jocks as we deliver you our picks for rivalry week in the college football ranks. And we just gave you picks for a handful of games, and there's so many. I mean, if we wanted to, I mean, we could spend 2 hours just making picks on all the games we have coming up over the next 2 days. It's going to be fantastic. So let's pick up where we left off with tomorrow's slate. Let's go through quickly some of these SEC rivalry games we have coming up, Damian, because some of them, maybe not the biggest playoff implications, but still games that mean a lot to many of our listeners, and of course, that we love here in the Southeastern Conference. So quickly here at 11 a.m. tomorrow, Clemson, South Carolina, that game going on in South Carolina, or Columbia, South Carolina, excuse me, at Williams-Brice. The Gamecocks, 3.5-point favorites in this one. And I will say, I'm going to ride with the Gamecocks in this one. Again, both teams have been disappointing, but I'll take the team that's been disappointing in the SEC compared to the team that's been disappointing in the ACC. And that's really all there is to it. I think I'll give Shane Beamer one last chance.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Lenore Sellers, this was like his game last year. Yeah. Where he basically put the team on his back and he put himself in folklore legend status. I think he continues that this year. And to your point, too, yeah, they've been disappointing, but I think their upside is better than and more exciting and more promising than Clemson's upside right now. Yeah. And like you said, the way they struggled in the ACC, it's just hard not to think that South Carolina, especially at home, isn't going to turn up at 11 o'clock tomorrow. So give me South Carolina.
At 2:30 tomorrow, LSU, Oklahoma. The Sooners win this one. They're in the college football playoff. They lose it, they're going to be out. Oklahoma, an 11.5-point favorite in this one. You know, there's a part of me that wants to think, all right, neither team's offense is that great. It'll probably be a closer game, but I do feel like, you know, LSU only beat Western Kentucky by 3 points last week. It just kind of feels like the wheels have fallen off for them, and they're just going to be ready to be done with this thing. Oklahoma wants to go into the playoff with some hype, so I'll take Oklahoma. I think they win pretty big over LSU and secure that playoff spot.
Yeah, LSU offense sucks against arguably the best defense in the SEC in Oklahoma. They're about to turn up. I think Oklahoma's going to choke them out. It ain't going to take that much offensively. I think John Mateer goes up and down the field, handles business, and Oklahoma gets out of there with a pretty easy win.
All right, 2:30 tomorrow as well. You got Vanderbilt and Tennessee there in Knoxville. Tennessee, a 2.5-point favorite at home. I'm going to go with Vanderbilt in this one. I think they've been just a slightly better team this year. I think maybe you could argue Tennessee more explosive on offense at times, but I think Vanderbilt, Diego Pavia, and his last regular season game, I just don't feel like he's going to let this game be a loss for Vanderbilt, honestly. So I'll roll with Vandy and with Pavia until further notice.
Had this been in Nashville, I feel a little bit different, but the fact that it's in Neyland, I think Tennessee, I think it's going to be a high-scoring matchup because I do think Diego Pavia and Vanderbilt, when their back is against the wall, is when they usually play the best. But I think Tennessee understands that in a very ironic fashion, they can kind of play spoiler to officially eliminate Vanderbilt from being in the college football playoff discussion anymore. And even being on the outside looking in, I think Tennessee gets them at home.
All righty, we saved the best for last. The Iron Bowl, 6:30 tomorrow in Jordan-Hare Stadium on the plains of Auburn. Alabama, 5.5-point favorite in this one. The total's currently at 46.5. I think we all know which way I'm going in this one, and that is I'm going to take Alabama to win. But I think Auburn is going to be able to keep it very, very close. I think this game reminds me a lot of the Alabama and Oklahoma matchup in the sense that I think Alabama, where their strength is offensively, matches up with what Auburn's, I don't want to say their weakness is, but their secondary is not as good as their run defense, right? And so I think, again, that's what you saw against Oklahoma. Alabama was able to have a lot of success in the passing game. But what did that come with? 3 turnovers. Again, it just feels like a very similar game to me where Alabama can't run the football very well. Auburn's really good at stopping that. Auburn has a really good pass rush. So the offensive line for Alabama is going to need to be good. But if they don't turn the ball over multiple times, I think it's going to be really, really difficult for Auburn to find a way to win this game. And I mean, again, we've gone through the history of this matchup. Typically, when you have – and Auburn, talent-wise, is a lot closer to Alabama. But Alabama has been a much better team and a much more consistent team this year than Auburn. And we've seen that normally translates in these kinds of matchups. So I'm going to take Alabama. I think it's a close one. I'll take Auburn to cover, but I'll take Alabama to win 28-24 in Jordan Hare.
I've tried to convince myself I've tried to find ways where Auburn on the football field, not the allure of Jordan Hare, a night game, and all this stuff, but truly when it comes down to X's and O's and football players being out there on the football field, how Auburn can get it done, and I can't. I can't definitively say that Auburn's better at a lot more spots than Alabama right now. And with Alabama understanding what's at stake and how important this game is, I think the business-like approach that they've had, is going to pay dividends. I don't think Auburn's defense is as consistently good at every area as teams that Alabama has already faced before offensively. To your point, I do think that the run game for Alabama is going to be a problem, but I think that Ty Simpson and what he's been able to do when he has to turn it on is going to be the key contributor. I think Alabama wins. I also think they cover. I think they win 35-21. I think they escape out of there.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a physical game. I think it's going to be close, but I think Alabama pulls away late.
All right, well, there you have it. I like Alabama 28-24. Auburn covers. Alabama wins. Damian likes Alabama a little more. He has them winning by 2 touchdowns over Auburn. We'll end with this. Don, he says Auburn's going to win 21-17. They get a pick 6 for the win late in the ball game. That'd be a heck of a way to end it there. So appreciate you joining us here on your Black Friday. McElroy and Kublik in the morning. Those guys are up next. We're back on Monday.